Hello everyone, and welcome back to another WARNO Deck Deep Dive, as today we jump into one of the two OG divisions, 79th Guards. It has been coming back a bit lately, and it's a pretty sweet division that has changed a lot since it first came around, and even a good bit since we last talked about it, so thought it's a good time to jump back into it and talk about what 79th is all about, and what I do with the deck at the moment. So yeah, let's jump in here into 79th, as it's a really sweet division for everybody who wants an all-rounder to learn the game with on the Soviet side. And we start a logistics tab that is pretty classic. Has the BRDM 2U here, has a 3 availability, decently fast and lightly armored vehicle. That is quite nice as a CV. And then we have 2 Ural cards here as supply. The MTLB is decently cheap, but it's so slow that I really don't like it. So double URL here is nice. The cross could be decent as well, but we don't spam artillery that heavy that we need the resupply here anymore. Back in the day, I played it with a Sklat Tanzania and double Grud cards to just really level the map with Gruds, but since the Grud got down to 1 per card, I have changed my deck setup there. So yeah, it's this instead now, with a bit more focus on the other parts of the deck. Infantry tab, it's all about getting enough BMP2s out there. The BMP2 is still fantastic, and you get them on cheap since the Motostrelki RPG 22 got cheaper again. And that was a really, really nice buff for this. The 35 points here for that solid infantry unit, and combined with an amazing BMP2D, great IFV, the 3 side armor, really nice. And the Conquerors plus autocannon 4 frontal armor is the bread and butter. But the extra side armor really is pretty impactful sometimes as well, giving you chances to survive things that the normal BMP2 wouldn't. So, and you don't pay anything extra, you just lose amphibious, and that's not really that impactful on 95 or 99% more of the engagements, really. So, yeah, BMP2D here with the Motostrelki on highest veterancy, so that you get some good forces in the early stages, and that you can get a bit more numbers. We have 1 normal Motostrelkis with a BMP2, and then for the early game, BMP2, no, the Motostrelki with the gas here coming around instead of the BMP2, and Saperi Apio in a BTR so that you are mobile, and then the 30mm as a good defensive unit, and the Faga as a really good cheap ATGM. Like, it's not amazing, but you don't really need the Conquerors here because you have enough on the BMP2s, you have enough things that can kill higher units, but getting something cheap for the flank here in this deck can be quite key, so getting a Fagot in there is quite nice, mixing it with a Motostrelki here to get the Ws in the side engagements can be pretty important, and that's why I use that ATGM there instead, and yeah, getting a bit more aim time bonus and accuracy here, so I take it with veterancy in this case. And yeah, here I'm not quite sure. I think you should take them with 1 vet as well, even though they go down somewhat heavily in, but the high accuracy gives them decent damage output. Artillery, we switched over from the Grads to the Acacia, taking them with 1 vet so that you have the better aim time. Like, the aim time bonus especially is pretty impactful, having the shot go out faster, and then the reload time helping out a decent bit as well, so that you get faster on target. And then we have some more 20mm mortars that can help out with smoke, that can help out with just saturating an area. The Soviet 120mm is a pretty good one. Tank tab has changed a bit as well. The TAD BV IZD is still quite good, but you needed a bit more numbers. TAD BVs nowadays are not that amazing, so you need to rely on your IZDs a bit. So we go with 1 vet on them, 6 availability there. 2 cards of TAD BV leaders, so that we go up to 7, so that the leader numbers are in a solid place. And then the TO55 got buffed lately in its vet curve, so it's a really nice help as well. Like, this, together with the BMP2s, should get you the early game on the maps that are a bit more saturated and have more forests and more area to cover. And then the TADBV IZDs are what should carry you through the mid game. And then the Rapira can be really helpful on some long-range engagements as well, so getting 1 card of those here around can be really, really helpful too. And yeah, that's the lineup here in the tank tab. One card of T80BV, one card of T80Bs to help out. The lower availability, though, hurting them a bit. I really wish these would have a bit more differentiation, and currently the T80BV just doesn't feel great. Paying for the ATGM, that doesn't really help, and paying maybe a bit too much for the era as well. It's not in the greatest stage. The IZD, because of its fast speed and the better ATGM, actually can make that stuff work. And that's the impactful thing. That's why the 10 points here are kind of a steal for the extra speed and for the extra crew pen on the Argona. That matters quite a lot. Recon tab, you have some really great stuff as well. This recon tab for Armored Division is fantastic. You have GSR units with AT weapon. That is great. The Specials GRU are great. The damage output of their submachine guns is good as well. You have the Mod Ratchetka, which come in the Ratchetka BMP2. That is fantastic as well. It can be really, really helpful in the early game. You can get normal Rashetka. The BRM-1K really helpful with your tank pushes as well, and then you get good recon helicopters. The Me-2 is the cheap one. The Me-8 has exceptional optics though, and 8 hit points, so I'm currently going for this. It's the Me-8 MTA here coming in nicely with the exceptional optics, and can spot a lot for you in the earlier stages of the game, and still be a bit more helpful than the Me-2 in the later stages as well, but still being pretty cheap, so I like the Me-8 MTA here quite a lot. And then in the AA tab, you have good stuff as well. The OSAs got buffed, that helps out a lot, and having 2 red OSAs now with still 2 availability, so that their aim time is really low, that their accuracy is really high, and that they can just murder helicopters and get most planes down as well is pretty helpful. Coops, if you need some long range, can be coming in as well. And yeah, you just can saturate the sky there as well. And I put some Iglas here. You usually don't need that many with the OSAs around, as anti-helicopter is not that important, but sometimes there are spots where you can only put in Iglas, so that's why I upvetted them here, so that you can get them with good aim time, good accuracy, and then they are really cost efficient as well as a. So yeah, usually I don't use more than 4 Iglas with this deck in a game, so having them at max vet here, it feels pretty powerful. And then helicopters, they are pretty good as well. The Mi-24V is a bit cheaper. Both have a caw. The Mi-24P has the advantage of having 10 ECM and has a 30mm gun that has a bit more range, but it struggles to get that on target sometimes, so that it can still be pretty helpful sometimes, the 30mm gun. So both helicopters have their use case, both are great with the caws, so if you use them well, you can do a lot of damage here. That's not what I wanted to do, this is what I wanted. And yeah, helicopters here feel quite nice. And then the fighter tab has changed a bit as well, as they now have the MiG-23 ML with the setup of 6 R60Ms, which are set up in the shotgun kind of configuration, 3 each in the weapon. So that for 145 points is great. This really is a fantastic little both helicopter hunter and also decent brawler plane. You get 3 availability on 0 vet. I go up to 1 vet here because that gives them plus 8% evasive maneuvers, and it also gives them a good bit more stress resilience and better aim time, accuracy. All of that is really helpful here, getting them to 61% with the R60Ms. And you usually want to bring them as a duo early on to either duel against single fighters of the enemy or shoot down helicopters or so on. And the mix of one of these with a MiG-29 behind them can work out quite nicely as well, so that your MiG-29 doesn't die and your MiG-23 soaks the damage. It's still a 10 hit point plane. It's still decently fast. MiG-29 and MiG-23 mix nicely as they are the same speed as well. So you can do a lot of work with this. The MiG-29 in this deck is pretty fantastic as well, as it has the R27T, so you can fire and forget with this and just turn away after firing it, which can be pretty handy as well. If you micro this plane, it is fantastic. And then we have one attack plane here with an Su-25 AT. If you need to get something killed, that can help out. Like if you're up against Leo 2s or so, this thing can be pretty handy. The cluster plane is a decent option as well, but I currently still like the Su-25 a bit more, though both are decent options in this deck. The air tap is a bit too expensive to allow for much more though. So, yep, let's come to the strengths and weaknesses of this deck. Strengths, it has a fantastic recon tab. Strength number 2, it has strong IFVs. And strength number 3, it has great AA. So great AA, great recon, strong IFV setup. Weaknesses, it doesn't have a mid-tier tank. No T62s or T72s in this deck, which leaves a bit of a gap between the TO55 and the T80BV. Like, no upgraded T55s either, so there's a bit of a gap in between the tanks that you can sometimes struggle to fill, like at the closer range engagements. T72s are more efficient than your T80BVs, and again, in those matchups, you're struggling a bit. You also don't have the greatest air support, and then obviously, your forward deploy is not amazing either. But those are the weaknesses matter, but you can bridge them, and that's the nice part. Like, you have some forward deployment, and you have the good BMPs if you set them up nicely. Your helicopters can help out against tanks as well, so, and your Rapira too. So it's not like you are impossible to win against those divisions. You just have to be a bit more careful. So yeah, let me know down below what you think about this deck, and see you in the next one, guys. Bye bye, and have a great day.